yeah, your boy done cooked up some DanDaDan season 2 heat. And as you can see, I done cooked up a fairly long video as I'll be covering episodes 1 through 7. Also, I finished watching episode 8 today, so if y'all rocking with DanDaDan season 2, let me know by getting this video to 1,000 likes within 24 hours. And the episode 8 review will be out by tomorrow, which I had planned on getting it done and out by tonight. But I decided to let this video marinate overnight while y'all run up that like button. Y'all went crazy and reached that like goal last video. Can y'all do it again? Now grab your golden Oreos and pink lemonade. Them shits fire. Now on with the heat. So the scene opens up with Mama Ayase chilling in a hot spring where these 5 men pulled up. Niggas swear they was stealthy, like, bro, we see you. You are not fooling anyone. And one of them grabbed hold of her arm, so Momo used her powers to get that nigga off of her. Then suddenly the fence falls on some of the others while one still persistent as hell until the building wall collapsed on his ass. And whole time Turbo Granny, who snuck into Momo's backpack after finding out that they were going to a hot spring territory, was spectating the whole situation. Meanwhile, the man known as the Keto Gang got chased off by a group of men, which these niggas on the roof have no type of athleticism. How did they even manage to get up there in the first place? Meanwhile, back at the crib, Okarun and Gigi spot something mysterious within the walls and the doorbell rings, so Gigi pulled up to answer it, assuming it was Momo. But nah, these grannies was at the door instead, and the one in the middle already looked like she was ready to throw hands, like, what's the issue? So the grannies started pressing bro as they questioned if he had brought a spear medium back to the crib as he had left without them knowing. And even more people entered his home, with one asking Gigi where has he been, so he lets him know that he was out with his friend. But bro called Cap, so in order for Okarun to prove that he's Gigi's friend, bro wants Okarun to name Gigi's favorite soccer team, which Okarun manages to get correct. But Afro Granny wasn't fooled for a bit as she's aware of Momo, so the jig was up. Moments later, Momo makes it back to the crib and sees Okarun and Gigi packed up on the floor with the Keto Gang surrounding them. And Momo didn't hesitate for a second to drop her bag and kick the first nigga in the neck. Then used her ability to pull the other guy forward and gave him the most vicious knee to the face. And then showed that she's Weave Nation certified before reverse heel kicking the other nigga. So the other two tried to hit her with the setup, but she blocks the attack, smacked dude in the face with the table and kicked him in the nuts. But suddenly she was grabbed from behind and headbutted. So Turbo Granny put up with the assist. But after that, Afro Granny put up ready to run the fade, and I'm not gonna lie, she was really smooth with it. So she trying to get in the mix with Momo, but like I said, Momo's Weave Nation certified. Now Momo starts to throw some kitchen supplies at her, and look at how Afro Granny deflecting it all. Then pulled up on Momo, but Momo really a block specialist. She not getting hit for real. But Afro Granny knocked her back with that final attack called Jennifer Lopez Anaconda, which seems to be a callback to the movie Jennifer Lopez was in called Anaconda. But yeah, now Momo has been sent flying through the wall. And Afro Granny starts talking about how the Keto family been protecting the land for generations and serving offerings to the Great Serpent Lord in order to prevent the volcano from erupting. When suddenly Momo starts to sink into quicksand, but she manages to save herself but was sunk right back down. So Okarun and Gigi pulls up for the save, and as Okarun tries to pull Momo back up, they all end up falling through the quicksand and hit with a stage transition, which Gigi ends up falling even further down as Momo was unable to catch Gigi, but luckily he fell onto something that cushioned his fall. But the surface beneath him starts rising, unveiling to be a great serpent, which the Keto Gang wasted no time to pull up and glaze the serpent. And after Momo got Gigi to safety, Turbo Granny lets the gang know that the serpent is called a Kuragari, which Okarun gives the gang additional info on. Meanwhile, Afro Granny told the Kuragari to eat Momo and the gang as they continue to dance, thinking they were locked in with the Kuragari. But the Kuragari had enough of the glazing and ate all them niggas. And with that, the gang heads inside one of the houses to hide, but suddenly Okarun and Momo started tweaking as Okarun starts to transform, then tried to commit suicide along with Momo attempting to do the same, which is due to the Kuragari's ability to force people to kill themselves when exposed to its psychic waves. So they start to get attacked by the Kuragari as Gigi runs away protecting the two of them, when suddenly this skinny man with freaky eyes pulled up, negating the Kuragari's ability, which led Momo and Okarun to gain their sanity, which Turbo Granny explains to them that is known as evil eye, and if they look into his eyes it will make them go insane and want to commit suicide, so they have to refrain from looking into them. So while the Kuragari is distracted, Okarun transformed and boomed its shit, but it instantly regenerated and commenced to attack the gang, with evil eye pulling up, successfully staring Gigi in his eyes, making Gigi see evil eye's past. And with that, Gigi came to the realization that evil eye is not a bad guy, so he makes his way towards the cell evil eye's body is located, which he saw from the vision. Meanwhile, Turbo Granny trying to talk bro out of it, but he don't want to listen, so they get trapped in some orange goo coming from the Kuragari. Meanwhile, Okarun's out of commission due to being temporarily paralyzed, and Gigi starts tweaking as he's within evil eye's memories once again and befriends the kid, saying he'll hang with him as much as he wants. And with those words, Gigi fell right into evil eye's trap card, and evil eye starts to possess Gigi's body, and with doing so it got Gigi out of the predicament and boomed the Kuragari. But unfortunately, Gigi is no longer himself and starts to attack Momo, and the Kuragari spun the block as he couldn't let that nigga slide, but with evil eye blocking its attack, he formed a spirit ball which he used to kick around at high speeds, doing the Kuragari dirty. And so evil eye goes back on the attack on Momo, but I'm not gonna lie, Momo been blocking everything thrown her way. She really had a block nation. Now evil eye tried to boom Momo, but Okarun put up right on time, stopping his attack. But unfortunately, Okarun gets overpowered. So Okarun grabs Momo and goes on the run, avoiding evil eye's attack, and as they're now in safety, Okarun notices the Kuragari is spreading its poison fluids while it's in hiding, so they need to leave soon, which they then see the exit that is way too high. So Momo asks if the Kuragari has any weakness, which Okarun explains that sunlight can be used to defeat it. So Okarun cooked up a plan to escape that'll involve him staying behind while Momo makes it out first so she can save them. And with that, they set the plan in motion, with Momo successfully making it out from beneath the ground. Meanwhile, Evilite confronts Okarun to commence the violence, as Momo's figuring out a way to save the gang, which she then recalls what Gigi explained to her in the past and started cooking up. Meanwhile, Okarun and Evilite was in the mix, and as it seems, Evilite has the upper hand while Okarun is playing more defensively than anything. But the Kurogari's poison starts to take an effect, so it was time for Levi to wrap things up quickly and traps Okarun in the house and walked inside to run the fate up close and personal. But little did Evilite know that was gonna be a huge mistake, cause after taking a few punches, Okarun ended up locking in and grips the hell out of Evilite's face, then bent down and gave him the meanest double uppercut. Literally gave bro a 2-for-1 special and proceeded to continuously uppercut him 20 times 5 different times. I know that didn't sound like it made sense, but it made sense. And with that, Okarun caused the house to shatter, and look at bro straight aura forming. He has no reason to stay holding that pose. After that was said and done, Okarun runs into Turbo Granny, who remains stuck in the goo, so Okarun tries to save her, but to no avail. Meanwhile, Momo started a fire in order for firefighters to show up and flood the house, in order for water to go underground and wet up the Kurogari, forcing it to escape to the surface for air, but to then be exposed to sunlight, as she used the knowledge she gained on Earthworms from Gigi back when they were kids. So the Kurogari hid behind the remains of the house to avoid sunlight, but Momo puts a stop to it, and the Kurogari gets burned to crisp and spits out the Kito family, which Afro Granny started hitting up because Momo defeated the Kurogari, which she believes is now the cause of the volcano's eruption. But Momo started analyzing the situation and came to the conclusion that the legend isn't about the great serpents, and that the dragon rising to the heavens is a fountain which acted as a sign that the volcano was going to erupt. So Momo starts tossing the Kurogari towards the volcano as the Kito family chases her, as Momo figured out that the Kurogari act as a hose and started stopping the lava flow, but Afro Granny pulled up and dropkicked Momo in the spine, then tried to jump her, but the priest named Manjiro she met earlier at the shrine pulled up for the save, as he's the pupil of Momo's granny Seiko, which Seiko had tasked him to look after them. And bro was too official with the hands, and once he packed them up, Momo continued to stop the lava, when suddenly Evilite pulled up and started packing niggas up and tried to go for Afro Granny, but Momo saved her. Manjiro tried to rock Evilite shit and nearly got rocked instead, but was saved by Momo. And they got the jumping Evilite, but he is too strong, and once again he almost booms Momo, but yet another nigga stepped in for the save, as Mentizian is now in the mix, along with the baddest granny in anime, Seiko, pulling up as well, as she's straight aura forming, standing on the back of Taro before getting in the mix. And I must say, the amount of pull-ups that happened within this whole thing is crazy. So as soon as Seiko landed, her and Mentizian started getting in the mix, boxing with Evilite, which Seiko's really holding her own as she manages to land a hit on Evilite, and after clashing with him, she called in Taro for the assist. So he pulled up while Seiko's still in the mix, and she kicks Evilite, and Taro starts tracking Evilite, but he got punched to pieces. But that was all anticipated, as a seal has been placed on Taro to seal Evilite, and it was a job well done. So Momo starts to rush over to where Okarun is trapped in an attempt to free him as Mentizian tags along. But as they get there, all hope seemed lost, but Momo still have faith and is persistent on saving Okarun. So Mentizian's son moved the lava from the hole and hardened it. So Momo opens it up and see that Okarun is in there with Turbo Granny, and Okarun explain how they got in that predicament. And with that, Momo gives Okarun a hug, apologizing for not being able to save him, and is in tears of joy as she's happy that he's alive. Moments later, they make it back to the crib and is performing a ritual to get Evilite outside of Gigi's body, but to no avail. So with that, he's stuck as using Taro as a shield to keep Evilite sealed. Later, as everyone is feasting, Gigi ends up reverting back to normal after Taro tried consuming something hot, which Seiko splashed cold water on Gigi to test out her hypothesis, which she was right in figuring out that Gigi stays normal when interacting with hot liquids and becomes taken over by Evilite when interacting with cold liquids. So they now have to carry around a flask of hot water just in case Evilite takes over Gigi. So Mentizian and his son heads back home dramatically as hell, as they took off in a UFO just to go back home, which is next door. Moments later, the gang heads over to the hospital where Gigi's parents are at, and Momo and Okarun seems to be getting closer and closer. And after arriving at the hospital, Gigi visited his parents. Meanwhile, on the other side of things, we see Afro Granny, who's heated as hell at Momo for foiling her plans, and turns out the whole time Afro Granny was an alien in disguise known as the Subterraneans. So Momo and Okarun makes their way to school as Momo's friends Miko and Muko tags along, and Miko shows Momo the volcano incident that's all over the news, along with the UFO being spotted, which threw Momo off because she expected for her to mention the giant earthworm. So the gang now makes it to school, and Ara feels bad for what she done to Momo and don't want the class to bash Momo, but Momo, being a good friend, gets Ara out of that uncomfortable situation and takes her along to talk, as she asks Okarun and Ara to stay at her place as she's worried about her granny and Manjiro being unable to get any sleep due to watching Gigi. So Momo would need their help to watch over Gigi, which they didn't hesitate to accept the offer. Meanwhile, Gigi is now able to move freely without having to wear Taro as a shield and was told to use hot water only. Moments later, as the gang were having dinner, Seiko asked Okarun to pass the soy sauce, which he made a close call, but she wanted the other one, and unfortunately second times were charm as soy sauce got on Gigi's hand, causing Evilite to take over and destroy the house, so Momo put a stop to him. And bruh, I said it once and I'ma say it again, Seiko Ayase is the baddest granny in anime, and with her hair down makes the statement even truer. But yeah, the Heihachi that Seiko called upon showed up to perform the exorcism ritual on Gigi, so they set everything up as they're gonna perform a song because they have the power to make their sound break through the spirit world. And with everything now set up, they started the performance, which was a little rocky at the start, but I knew they was gonna lock in real soon, and that they did. Them niggas had the whole gang turned up, even had Seiko moving crazy hyped as hell. And I'm not gonna gonna lie, I was in my room going crazy too. These niggas really like that. And as the performance goes on, we see all the spirits gathered to rock out to this banger. But Gigi started tweaking, so Seiko locked in and told Momo to use her power to hold Gigi down. But the moment she did, Evil Eye's aura connected with hers as we take another glimpse at Evil Eye's past. And Gigi cries out for the gang to not kill Evil Eye as he's only wanted to be free from his cell and have fun playing, which Gigi promised he'll play with him. So he swore he'll try hard to never use cold water anymore as he really wants Evil Eye to live. And after seeing Gigi's passion, Seiko puts out the fire and calls off the ritual, as she'll take Gigi on his offer and not kill Evil Eye. But I don't want to continuously look after Gigi, so Okarun declared to get stronger to where he can easily beat up Evil Eye so that they wouldn't have to worry when Gigi gets taken over by Evil Eye. Cause that's what friends are for, which Momo's on the same page as well as Ira. But unfortunately it starts to rain as Gigi was going in to give Okarun a hug, so he turns into Evil Eye and rocked Okarun. And the Heihachi takes their lead. Now Gigi's undergoing training to be able to control his spirit energy to then be able to handle Evil Eye all on his own. Later that night, as the gang were asleep, Gigi wakes up to go to the bathroom as Okarun follow behind to keep watch, making sure he don't come in contact with any cold water. And as he does, they started chatting and Gigi apologizes for causing damage to the house, which Okarun told bro don't trip as he used to be in the same predicament when Turbo Granny took over his body. But Seiko and Momo went out of their way to help him. And from then on, Okarun aspires to be as cool as Seiko. The next morning, as the gang eat their breakfast and heads to school while Gigi remains at the crib to be watched. Momo's at school talking to her friends Miko and Muko, telling them how she wants to get a job in order to earn enough money to fix her house. Which Muko states that Riruna's job is looking for part-time help. Which Miko states that she works at a restaurant and Momo wants Miko to let Riruna know that she's down to work. But Miko reminds Momo how she never stick with part-time jobs for too long as she always ends up fighting with the boss. But Momo's like she's locked in this time and is willing to work and not quit that easily. Moments later, Miko lets Okarun know about Momo's part-time job and drags him to go hang with the two of them and get some tea, which he didn't want to go but was forced to go upon his will. But little did he know they were dragging him to where Momo started her part-time job at. And with Momo and Okarun seeing each other, Momo feels embarrassed and Okarun being awkward as per usual and tried to deal, but Miko and Muko was not about to let bro leave. Meanwhile, Momo couldn't even look in Okarun's direction due to how embarrassed she was. So they ordered drinks and Miko and Muko was giving Momo a hard time. And once that was said and done, they posed for the camera with a Dragon Ball reference as they perform a hard version of Tien Shinhan's Neo Tri-Beam. You love to see it. So Miko and Muko takes their leave, meanwhile Okarun planned on waiting outside for Momo during her entire shift. But Momo told bro she'll be okay, so he takes his leave. Meanwhile, Momo continued to work as she constantly eyed the clock ready to leave. And once her shift was over, she starts to head back home when Okarun, being a real nigga, pulled back up for her, as he can't let a lady walk home alone. W-mans. Meanwhile, back at the crib, Gigi attempts to see if he can withstand room temperature liquids without Evil Eye taking over. So Seiko puts a drop of soy sauce on his hand, which Gigi manages to remain in control. Meanwhile, Momo and Okarun makes it back to the crib as Momo lets Seiko know that she's late due to being at her part-time job, which Seiko is just now hearing about. So Momo grabs hot water. Meanwhile, Gigi and Ira got too excited and end up bumping into one another, causing Ira to spill her drink on Gigi, which put Evil Eye back in control, which they tried to pour hot water on him but to no avail. And so Evil Eye bonded Momo to where she couldn't have access to her flask of hot water, and Seiko was unable to break the barrier. So Evil Eye tries to boom Momo as Okarun's heated to the max, but Momo stops Evil Eye, but he's persistent and started choking her. So she ends up spitting hot water on Evil Eye. As she took a sip of the hot water, she grabbed the moment she walked into the house and never swallowed it. So Gigi feels bad about the situation, but Momo understands that it's not his fault, but Okarun don't give a damn and pushes Gigi out the way to check up on Momo. And again, Gigi feels terrible about what just occurred, but Seiko lets him know that it's not his fault. And Ira feels bad for causing that to happen, but Momo's like, don't trip, things happen. Meanwhile, Okarun is seeking to get stronger as he don't want anything like this to ever happen again. So he goes to see Mantigian, who is disguised as a human as he works at a farm, which Okarun is seeking to be Mantigian's apprentice and learn how to throw a punch, but Mantigian is too much of a pacifist. So Okarun takes his leave. Meanwhile, Seiko and Manjiro was discussing the incident, as Manjiro wants to call the Heihachi performers and says that if Seiko don't want to do the ritual prayer, he'll do it himself, and was about to head back in the crib as he lets Seiko know that he'll contact them. But Seiko's like, as an adult, you want to burden yourself with all the kids' trouble so you can tell them to do whatever they like, which Manjiro's like, it's the responsibility of an adult to show them reality as well, and states that he liked Gigi's spirit too, but the impossible is impossible. So we see Okarun training himself to throw a good punch, which Turbo Granny pulls up to give him proper training, as she takes him to the school, which Ira followed them and wants Okarun to tell her what he's doing. But Turbo Granny told her to slide while calling her a halfwit, which got Ira heated, so she transformed and smushed Turbo Granny's cheek. So Ira's now tagging along with them as she too wants to become stronger. So they make their way to a classroom where Turbo Granny tells Okarun to jump to the piano note as she's demonstrating his combat rhythm, and states that Evil Eye can perform 4 times as much actions within that single instant, which is called a force switch. And Turbo Granny states that Ira using Acro Silky's power is a force switch as well, and Evil Eye adding his cursed house's attack will make him a 10 switch. And after Turbo Granny finishes up her explanation, a note ended up being played which wasn't played by Turbo Granny, as they then see a spirit with a bobblehead sitting at the piano staring at them. And once it played another note, a gang of musicians popped out the cut. And yeah, those DanDaDan season 2 episodes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 in all its greatness. You already know these episodes are absolutely pure heat. A solid 10 out of 10 for me, cause DanDaDan never missed. this. Now, with that being said, if you made it this far, don't forget to drop a like and subscribe. We moving. Also, I'm taking recommendations, bro, so hit the comments. And more heat on the way.